What just happened is not a rumor, not a leak, not a theory. A real switch is being flipped. In hours, a new rule activates and it directly interferes with the physical flow of silver at the exact moment the global paper market is under maximum delivery stress. This is not about price candles. This is not about sentiment. This is about permission. Who gets metal, who waits, and who is quietly told no. Here is the event in plain terms. A major exporting country is moving raw silver under a licensing regime. Not finished jewelry, not consumer gadgets, raw bars and feedstock. The form of silver that factories, refiners, and exchanges actually need. At the same time, the largest Western futures market is facing one of the heaviest delivery months it has ever seen relative to what it openly lists as deliverable inventory. Those two things colliding is the story. Everything else is noise. Welcome. This is a straight-through analysis. No hype, no filler. Let's break down what this means, why the timing matters, and where the pressure shows up first. Licensing sounds boring. A stamp, a document, a desk. But licensing is not paperwork. Licensing is control. Licensing is delay. Licensing is optionality. Once licensing exists, exports are no longer automatic. Every shipment becomes conditional. And conditional flow is the opposite of what a stressed physical market needs. Here's the first principle you need to lock in. When supply chains are loose, friction doesn't matter. When supply chains are tight, friction becomes a weapon. Even small delays change behavior. Even uncertainty changes behavior. Buyers order more than they need. Sellers quote wider terms. Inventory stops circulating and starts hiding. Now, zoom out for 1 second. Silver is not a luxury metal. It is not stored and admired. It is consumed. It is soldered, plated, powdered, baked into pastes, scattered across billions of components. Once it goes into use, it does not come back quickly. That makes silver shortages asymmetric. Demand doesn't pause easily, but supply cannot surge. Now, layer in timing. January is not a normal month in futures markets. January is when contracts stop being a scoreboard and start being forklifts. Most months, positions roll. Metal never moves. January is different because some participants choose to stand. They don't want cash. They want bars. That choice alone stresses the system because the system assumes most people won't choose it. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Paper markets can survive volatility. They can survive bad headlines. They cannot survive a widespread preference for delivery. Because once trust shifts from promises to atoms, leverage flips from strength to weakness. Look at the inventory language carefully. There is registered metal and eligible metal. Registered is available for delivery. Eligible is metal in the building that belongs to someone else. That distinction matters only when things get tight. When registered declines and delivery pressure rises, the system has to ask private holders to volunteer their bars. It cannot force them. Consent becomes the real bottleneck. So the real question is not how much silver exists. The real question is how much silver is willing to move at this price under these rules right now. Pause. And licensing directly interferes with that willingness. Now let's talk about physical signals, because physical markets always speak before paper markets admit anything. Premiums, delivery times, conditions. When buyers pay above reference price to secure immediate metal in a specific location, that is not opinion, that is urgency. When regional premiums rise while paper prices stay calm, that is divergence. Divergence tells you flow is impaired, and normally arbitrage would close that gap. Buy where it's cheap, sell where it's expensive, but arbitrage requires metal to move smoothly across borders. Licensing slows that bridge. Delays widen spreads. Spreads attract more urgency. That loop feeds on itself. This is how pressure builds without headlines. Now add policy incentives. Countries that produce or process essential inputs eventually realize those inputs are leverage. Control becomes tempting. Strategic language appears. Reviews to oversight, classification, different words, same direction, less automatic flow. This does not require coordination. It requires incentives. When everyone sees the same tightening, they act in similar ways. Now imagine you are a large institutional player. You understand the settlement mechanics. You know how stress is usually relieved. Rolling, leasing, swaps. But now you see export gates tightening and delivery queues growing. At some point, you stop playing offense and start managing tail risk. That means demanding insurance. Insurance means metal. This is where price loses meaning temporarily. Price is a rationing tool. When supply is abundant, price is calm. When supply is constrained, price is forced to do violent work. And silver has a problem. Its demand is embedded in infrastructure. You cannot substitute it away quickly. Solar does not wait. Electronics do not wait. Grid upgrades do not wait. Manufacturing bids until it secures supply. Here is where people get trapped psychologically. Volatility is used to exhaust you. Sharp drops, sharp recoveries, conflicting headlines. The goal is not clarity. The goal is nausea. Because nauseated participants make emotional decisions during structural events? Ask yourself this: does a red candle reverse licensing? Does a scary article refill vaults? Does a futures dip create new refining capacity? No. Structure ignores emotion. The real tells are simple. Approval pace. Not announcements, pace, lease rates. When metal is tight, borrowing costs rise. Behavior of eligible holders? If they do not volunteer metal, stress deepens. Language. Subject to availability is rationing in polite form. Now let's run a stress scenario. Not a prediction. A test. Suppose a meaningful portion of January contracts stand. Registered inventory drops quickly. The exchange has options. Incentivize registration. Encourage cash settlement. Adjust rules. Every option protects the system but damages trust. And once trust cracks, the desire for delivery increases, not decreases. That is how bank runs work. They are reflexive. Now, zoom back to licensing. Even if most licenses are approved, delay alone matters. Backlogs matter. Uncertainty matters. In tight markets, buyers respond by ordering earlier and ordering more. That behavior pulls demand forward, worsening near-term stress. And remember, silver does not teleport. It moves through refineries, ports, insurers, paperwork. Every added step adds time. Time widens premiums. Premiums expose paper price as insufficient to clear physical demand. This is why silver is a pressure point. Gold sits. Silver disappears. Gold is hoarded. Silver is consumed. And the world is building more consumption on purpose. Energy transition. Data infrastructure. Electrification. All of it quietly drinks silver. Now here is the key contradiction. Paper markets can show calm even while physical markets are stressed. Because paper exposure is infinite while metal is finite, but that calm is fragile. When conversion accelerates, repricing is not gentle. We have seen this pattern in other commodities. The break is administrative before it is dramatic. Rule clarifications, temporary measures, emergency language, always calm in tone, never calm in effect. So what matters in the next window is not the chart. It is logistics. Does approval slow? Do delivery times extend? Do premiums refuse to fall even on price dips? Those are the signals. Now pause and think. If you controlled a strategic metal and saw tightening elsewhere, would you rush to export or would you conserve? Answer honestly. That answer explains behavior better than any headline. Here is what not to do. Do not wait for confirmation from price alone. By the time price confirms, physical availability is already impaired. Price lag structure. Now let's bring this together. We have a tightening export gate. We have elevated delivery pressure. We have visible physical premiums. We have slow-moving supply. That combination creates a stress phase. In stress phases, small frictions trigger large reactions. There are two outcomes: containment or repricing. Containment usually involves cash settlement and rule tweaks. That delays repricing but damages trust. Repricing restores balance but looks violent. Either way, physical holders gain leverage. This is why preparation beats reaction. The winners and squeezes are not the fastest traders. They are the ones who positioned before certainty vanished. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think licensing approvals move quickly or quietly stall? And if pressure escalates, what do you think cracks first? Spot price, premiums, or exchange rules? Drop your take below. If you want more analysis like this, direct, fast, signal over noise, subscribe now. We focus on structure, not spectacle. Because the next phase is not about sentiment. It is about permissions, about delivery language, about whether the paper system can still pretend it is physical. Watch premiums. Watch delays. Watch the tone shift when you ask, how soon? When certainty dies, behavior changes. And once behavior changes, numbers follow. This is not a countdown to panic. It is a reminder that logistics lead markets. When gates tighten and delivery is tested, the screen price becomes a suggestion, not a guarantee. Stay sharp. Stay structural. And remember, factories do not negotiate with charts. They secure supply first and ask questions later.